Gunpowder, Milkshake is on Netflix. It is a Netflix original, and I had no idea going into this movie what it was about, other than that it was an all-star female cast, which, truth be told, I was excited about because it's an action movie, and I feel like female action stars, unfortunately, are in dire need. Because for myself, I haven't really seen any female-led action movies that I genuinely liked, and I was like, maybe this will be the one. Maybe. Because I want that, man. I really do. But after watching the movie, I hate to say it, but this is another, unfortunately, leftovers movie, like I like to call it. By that, I mean it's a female-led movie that unfortunately has a script that feels like a second rate of other stuff. In this case, this feels like a second rate version of John Wick. This movie, I will talk about the positives first. I did like the female cast. I thought the female cast was very entertaining. I especially liked the chemistry of such. They were really good. And then I also wanted to throw in a shout out for like a male cast member, Paul Giamatti. Not in it that much, but he clearly is having the time of his life. And, you know, truth be told, I like the cast. The fact that they were having the time of their life. You could tell a lot of them were having fun, so I can appreciate that. I did like also the neon dripped cinematography. I thought that was pretty cool at times. And I did think that although it's overly choreographed, and by that I mean you can tell that it feels more like a ballet per se than like more of like an intense, visceral, oh my goodness, are these characters going to get out of it? Despite that, I did think the choreography on paper was pretty good, and I did like that aspect of the action. But again, the action scenes itself, wasn't a big fan of because the characters I didn't really get to know. I didn't care about them, and on top of that, they didn't even feel fully dimensional. You know, a lot of these characters feel, unfortunately, one-dimensional. You only know the bare minimum, and if you know only the bare minimum, at times it can be kind of difficult to latch on to characters. And even if you don't necessarily get to know them fully, there's still this whole thing that this movie does where the characters themselves just aren't very interesting or charismatic, and because of that, and because of the addition to not being three-dimensional, it makes for a lackluster experience in those regards. And it doesn't help also that the script unfortunately follows a lot of beats, again, that were in like the John Wick franchise, but like a lesser version. Like it's trying to have this whole world-building aspect, but the world-building unfortunately falls flat. It just doesn't work in the slightest because a lot of times it's trying to do things that it doesn't really fully expand on. It says one thing and then it just like quickly brushes aside that and continues on to the next thing. It's like, okay, if you're not going to really fully explain it verbally, at least try to do it visually. And the movie, unfortunately, sometimes wasn't even able to do that. It's a very exposition-heavy movie in those regards, too. And a lot of times you really do feel as an audience member. As I already mentioned, the action scenes also, you're going to see this movie for it, for the most part, I'm sure. But given the fact that it wasn't even able to give on that front, because in addition to not really, again, caring about the characters or caring that they don't feel like that they're in danger, because they don't feel like they're in danger, in addition to that, you have CGI blood, which I never thought I would say, because usually I'm like, I don't know what the difference is between practical effects in terms of blood and, you know, obviously CGI blood. Like, there are times where I will admit I can't really tell the difference. This movie, I unfortunately was able to tell right away. It really took me out. I was like, holy cow, that is very obvious. So I was taken aback by that. Usually I'm able to pick up on like little details in terms of the, you know, the visual effects. But usually, again, with an action movie, I don't. I'm like, oh, it just doesn't take me out of it if there is CGI blood. I know a lot of people where it's like they can tell instantly, but for me, not always the case. So me saying that about this movie, that I was taken out by it and I noticed it right away, it says a little bit, guys. It says a little bit. The ending also is setting up for a sequel, and for the life of me, similar to like The Old Guard, I don't really want to see a sequel. I don't. I think that this movie on its own didn't work. And, you know, John Wick, the original one, again, I have to compare it to it because there are a lot of, you know, similarities. The original John Wick worked on its own as a film. You know, it was a one and done. It easily could have been if it didn't do well at the box office. But it did, so there were sequels. With this movie, Gunpowder Milkshake, they are already saying, hey, this movie's going to do well with audiences, so we are already going to be planning sequels. And it shows because there is no stakes. There is no consequences, you know, and I think that that's a shame, honestly. Again, on paper, with these actresses, you have a lot to work with. You have a lot of talent on screen, and it's unfortunately that it fell flat. I wanted to like this movie, I really did, but alas, here I am. Gunpowder Milkshake, for me personally, I will be giving a 2 out of 5 star rating. So, yeah, no hot sauce rating. But yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to hear your guys' thoughts down below. I do know that it's getting decent reviews, so I'll definitely be curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this movie. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching with subscription, notification bell, and all that. Catch you guys later.